Yo, what's going on? Welcome. Glad you could join me. MPC Stems just got released for desktop. We've all been waiting eagerly for this moment, and I think once standalone is announced, we'll all be counting down the days for that too. But for now, I have the MPC in controller mode. It's hooked up to my computer behind me. But ever since the first presentation that Akai put out with MPC Stems, I knew what the first thing was going to be that I did with it, which is test its capabilities and see how good it actually sounds. It's mind-blowing the EQ and magic that this is doing to literally take old records and we can just have the drums, just have the vocals. But I want to put it to the test and see if the quality that it actually has is viable to put in finished beats and beats that we'd actually want to put out. So stems are obviously the individual recordings that make up a master track or make up a full finished song. So the first test I want to do with MPC Stems is take a master recording and use the software to separate drums, bass, vocals, and instrumentals. And then we'll take the actual studio recorded stems and see how those compare. So let's just jump right into this. So on pad 1 right here, I have the original master recording of the track we're going to be using today. Here's how it sounds. And then on the column right here, I have all of the individually recorded stems. So this is the moment I've been waiting for. Let's take the master and separate it. So I'm going to go to Sample Edit. I have the master right here. I'm going to click Stems. I want to take out vocals, bass, drums, and other, which would just be other instrumentals. And I'll put that onto pad 5. Do it. And we now have that master recording on pad 5, but we'll be able to change the volume of those stems. The first thing I want to check is just by initiating the stems and separating those, even though they're all turned up, is there any quality difference from the original recording? Let's check it out. There's definitely no difference to that I can hear. So if everything's turned up, you're not losing anything. It sounds the exact same. Now let's start getting into these stems. I'm super pumped. This is my first time using this. First thing I want to do is drums. It's been what I'm most eager to try out because you think back to all these records that you've heard, it's like, man, I wish there was no instrumental here because that snare sounds crazy. Now we have that capability, but let's hear how good it sounds. So I'm going to go to Program Edit, and then we have all of the separated aspects right here. Let's start with the drums. Let's start taking out these elements. Vocals gone. There goes the bass. And there's the drums. Let's go. I don't know what sorcery Akai has going on, but that's impressive. If nothing else, that is super impressive. So we now have just the drums playing on this pad. I'll compare that to the originally recorded drums, and we can see if there's any difference there. I also have the volume set equal, so anything we're hearing difference-wise will just be from quality and not anything else influencing us. I'll start with the original and then flip over to the stems and do that a couple times. Let's hear it. Okay, clear difference there. I think with MPC Stems, we're definitely losing a lot of high end on the drums. There's a weird sort of phasing that I'm hearing near the ending of the short drum break we have here. It sounds like the drums got picked up better at the start of the sample than by the end. There's a little bit of a waviness going on in that it's coming in and out a little bit, especially on the hi-hat. It fades out there a little bit. And then we're also, I think, losing a lot of high end on the snare as well. Take a listen just for that. This is the stem separated. And here's the original. So a noticeable difference there. I think if I was looking for a drum break for a beat, I probably wouldn't use that from the MPC Stems. I just find with this example specifically, we do lose a little bit too much quality there. You could definitely stack some drums on that and it would manage, but we are losing some of that high end that we would typically have, the crispiness in that snare and that hi-hat. The other thing I want to mention too, the master would have a master chain on it, so likely some compression, maybe some reverb, things of that nature. And obviously MPC Stems isn't going to be able to take those things out. So any compression that's squashing the instrumentals because of the hard-hitting kick, let's say, MPC Stems isn't going to be able to take that out or compensate for that. So that's just one thing to consider when we're going through this comparison. But let's try instrumentals because I'm interested about that as well. So first I'll play the MPC Stems version of the guitar and horn sample, and then I'll flip over to the master track and hear how that sounds. Let's get it. So again, I think we're losing a little bit of high end from that horn. I think the guitar sounds really good. There's also something being picked up at the start of the sample that isn't a guitar or horn. You'll hear from this version, it's silent for the first half second, whereas in the MPC Stems version, there's just a little bit of a background noise. So that's clearly picking up an element from somewhere else that isn't in the stem version. Here's that little sound that it's picking up. So honestly, I think that sounds really solid. I think that has a ton of potential for if you're recording in jazz records, you're trying to pull just the saxophone. I think that's going to give you a lot, because if you're using just the instrumentals, no bass, no drums, you're going to be adding your own bass and drums on top of that presumably, and I think this is going to do the job for sure. So let's try the bass next. Again, we'll go MPC Stems and then the individually recorded stem of the bass. Let's hear it. Okay, that sounds really good. I think the only elements we're losing slightly from the bass is that plucking sound that you're getting, like the natural pluck that you would hear, which again, it seems like a common theme, would be a little bit of that high end, which makes sense for the bass. Like the way it's going to recognize bass is from its frequency, and any higher frequencies that would be snuck in from a bass guitar are going to be taken out. I think that sounds super good if you're trying to get some bass sounds to even put 16 levels. It's going to do the job for sure. That's really impressive. So last but not least, let's check vocal. Let's hear it. That sounds insane. I don't know how that's possible. It sounds like there's some reverb on the master track that's being picked up that isn't in the original, but I don't think that's the fault of MPC Stems. I think that's more so just something that would be on the master bus that can't be distinguished. Considering the elements that would be in the same frequency range as a vocal, I can't believe how accurately that's pulling that out. I'm super impressed by that. And I honestly think this is going to be one of the most useful aspects to MPC Stems, because it distinguishes the vocal so well that you may not often want to have a individual vocal, but what you will want is the vocal taken completely out. And we're losing like no quality from that, just from taking the vocal out. That sounds super sick. Okay, so we've tested the quality of MPC Stems versus the stems of an actual master recording. The other thing I wanted to test out as a second test is how well MPC Stems can distinguish and locate other aspects of percussion other than a basic drum kit. Because where my mind went when I first saw the drum separation, the percussion separation, was tracks like What's Going On, something where you have bongos. You have a lot of elements of percussion. I'm not sure how this identifies percussion, whether it's just drums within a basic kit, or if it would be able to find bells and things of that nature. So to put that to the test, I have this gem right here. then by The Pharaoh, You Know What's Up. This record's insane if you haven't heard it. Astral Traveling is, you'll want to sample it as soon as you hear it. But there's another track on here. It has a lot of different percussive elements. So I want to record that in, separate it, and then see how the drums get picked up. Let's check it out. Okay, so I now have that sample recorded in. Here's a little taste of how the whole thing sounds. As you can hear, bongos, shakers, a lot of different aspects of percussion. There's no vocals, so let's just see how that percussion comes out and see if it was able to pick everything up. Taking out the bass, taking out the instrumental, and taking out the vocal, which there isn't one. That actually works really well. So it sounds like I picked up most of those drum elements. I'm super impressed by that. I would definitely use this as a backing percussion for a beat or to pull individual elements from. I think the quality sounds pretty solid on that. One of the weird things I did notice is on the vocal recording, there's no vocal on this, but on the vocal separation, it's picking up a few elements. You can hear just a piece of a flute or a wind instrument in there. So it's clear that it's trying to find certain frequencies and associate those with what might be a vocal. So with that, I feel like I've got a better idea of the actual quality we're getting out of MPC Stems. There are certain things I would definitely use it for to create beats. Other things I think I may probably shy away from because some of the aspects may just be slightly under the quality that I would want. But that being said, I think MPC Stems is super impressive and I don't get how it works at all, but it's really cool. Thank you for joining me on this initial test. I hope it gave you some information about the software and can help you decide if you want to get it or not. But if you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one and more videos with MPC Stems. I'll definitely be making some beats with this, some more videos to come on that soon. Appreciate you so much. Peace.